Lowe's, we help, you save. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Offer valid 5/15 through 5/28.
United Structural Systems is proud to bring you this PGA Championship update on ESPN Cleveland 1013. USS is your local expert for foundation repair, waterproofing, and concrete lifting. Give them a call at 423-320-8883 or visit them online at ussTN.com.
From the Kia of Cleveland Studios, this is ESPN Cleveland 1013, WCLE HD2 Cleveland, W267BI Cleveland, ESPN Cleveland 1013.
The top of the hour is presented by Best Buy Metals, making the top of your house the best it can be. Visit bestbuymetalroofing.com.
It's time for The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. We will bring you nonstop sports news from the national and local scene and everything in between. So buckle up and join in on the conversation. It's The Drive.
Don't take no slap. Got a thirst for killing. Drink your body.
Welcome back to The Drive. Andy Morris here along with Jacob Mason on a pretty dadgum good Friday. Let's just call it that.
Yeah, man. Beautiful. Nice little overcast. Lots of baseball going on around the area.
Boy, is there. And there's been some chaos going on in some high school baseball. Before we even dive into anything Atlanta Braves, we're going to talk some high school baseball because there was definitely some controversy here, really in a couple games. The one worked out in our community's favor, the Cleveland Blue Raiders taking care of business. We'll dive into that here in just a little bit. And then over at Bradley last night, not so much in the Bears' favor and our favor here in the Bradley County community because Bradley ended up losing that game 1-0 on an extremely, and when I say extremely, like I can't even emphasize, on an extremely controversial call at home plate. And listen, I'm one of those guys, I like to give the benefit of the doubt to the umpires most of the time. Just like a lot of you guys listening, I'll sit at home and I'll question things that I see on TV. But that dugout, the reaction from Bradley, they were upset.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, umpires are always going to make mistakes. Like, it's going to happen. That's the human element of the game. That's one thing that it's not like you have the replay system or anything like that. You can't do it. But with that specific scenario, I wanted to go that game and ended up not being able to. If Bradley pulls this one out, I think I might stop by for Game 3 of the series. But it kind of seems like that call was predetermined because the throw beat him there. I mean, it beat the runner there. So
explain what you mean by predetermined.
Because the throw beat him there.
Gotcha.
The umpire in his head said he's going to be out. And that's a natural reaction to have. Like, the throw's there before the runner has slid across the plate. The problem is the throw was up near his eyes, and he had to come up or from up to down. And when we watch it, because we got to see the replay, the hand slides in clear.
And again, an umpire in high school baseball does not have the benefit of being able to go over and look at a computer screen or an iPad or anything like that. They've got to make the call on the field as they see it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name the umpire by name. I know this umpire. I've watched him umpire a lot of games. I've seen him make some great calls. I've seen him make some bad calls. But one thing that I can say, I don't think he would ever make a call just because of who an opponent is or who's on the field. He's not that kind of guy.
Yeah,
I've never seen him do it, and I don't think yesterday would have been any different. And there's people going crazy on the social medias, and I get it. We're passionate about our teams, and if I'm a Bradley fan, if I'm a Bradley coach, if I'm on that roster, I'm upset, dude.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because he was safe. And we're going to paint the picture a little bit better for you. Bradley playing Siegel yesterday in the high school baseball sectional. It's a 3-game series. The Bears ended up losing that game 1-0 in a very – I think the problem is there was more than one controversial call in that game.
Yeah, there's something that happened earlier in the game as well.
Yeah, so in the 6th inning, it was the third out called at first base. Bradley's in the field. They get the third out at first. And then it's overturned, and that scored the only run of the game. So third out calls made. Bears start to celebrate, start to leave the diamond. Then the call's overturned. The umpires meet. They change the call. Not exactly sure why. Not exactly sure what went into that. So that makes it a 1-0 game, which the score doesn't change after that. So that ended up being a run for Siegel. But the main play that we were talking about coming into the show, Bronson Stone hits a ball to right field. Great hit by Bronson Stone. Hits it to right field. It's caught for the second out of the inning. Right fielder throws in. Bear base runner Landon Miller tries to score from third. Has a great jump. Kid got a great jump, Landon Miller. Slides head first, hands extended. You know, in Major League Baseball, we see him wearing those oven mitt-looking things. Hands extended. His hand is in there on the plate. As you were alluding to, the catch is made probably about chest high, and as the catch is being made, the catcher's mitt is coming down in a sweeping motion toward the ankle of Landon Miller. Landon Miller, and keep in mind, his hand is in as that's taking place. This is all, it is boom, boom. It's simultaneous. But as that hand is across the middle of the plate, on the video, you can still see about a 6-inch gap between catcher's mitt, ball, and ankle of Landon Miller.
Yeah, and really, like, from the picture that's been shared across social media, his hand is not just touching the plate. It's
in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's starting to approach the back half. And again, I want to challenge everybody out there, like, being an umpire is extremely hard.
Yeah, go hug an umpire after today's show, by the way.
Yeah, like it's not like if you think that we're being like critical of that, like it's hard. Like you're gonna make mistakes. You know, I as a coach try to remember that there's a human element in it all, and I'm not the type of coach that just comes screaming out of the dugout. I'll look at one and say, "You missed that one," like that. You missed that one, but it's just tough because where we are. And what that play ended up being, you know, that's now
in such a meaningful moment.
Yeah, that's a tie ball game.
That's game one of a 3-game series that's sending you to the state tournament if you can win that series.
Yeah, that's a tie ball game, and then I'm pretty sure there was a runner on first that was advancing to second. So
yes,
now you've got a runner. You've got a runner in scoring territory
to win a game.
You tie the game up, and then next guy comes up and puts a base hit in the gap, like you walk off with that win. So. I get it. It's tough. I understand emotions being high because I'm just going to. It was a missed call. I mean, it was.
Listen. You made a very good point when we were talking about this earlier before we came on air. You made a really good point about umpires feeling the need to make the call as the play immediately ends, and the way you worded it to me was process the play. Explain that to our listeners.
Yeah, like I love when an umpire, you know, just from my experience on the field, I love when an umpire sits and waits to make a call. Like it's almost like a suspenseful moment, and everybody in the crowd is yelling, and they want to know what it is. But like as a coach, I know that he is sitting there, he's processing what's happening, he's making sure he saw what he saw, and then he makes the call for multiple reasons. I mean, like the ball could be bobbled. There's all kinds of scenarios, but to me, how a play like that should happen: tags up. He runs, slides across the plate, the tag is delivered wherever it's delivered. He should be staring there, looking at it, shaking his head, understanding what he just saw, then make the call. It just kind of seems like umpires sometimes rush to make the call at a bang-bang moment, and it's not always what it may seem it's going to be.
And specifically in this situation, again, we're not trying to
Never.
to take part in bashing this umpire.
Never. I will
Because
never
it
do it.
is a tough situation. Looking at the pictures, we can say, yeah, he blew the call. Because guess what? We have a still shot of when a tag is not yet applied and a hand on a home plate.
Well,
That's very telling. But in this specific situation, you got to keep in mind that hand that's reaching the plate is a full body length away from where the tag is being applied. So you've got an umpire standing in line with the play that not only is trying to see when home plate is touched, but when that tag is applied.
Yeah.
You can't look at both of those things at the same time, and you're talking about 4 or 5 feet away, depending on the height of this young man, with his arms extended. It's hard.
Yeah, and here's the thing. At the end of the day, you are going to see an uproar from either side. Like,
Do I blame Bradley people for being upset?
No.
Bradley fans? Not at all.
Yeah.
I don't. But do I think we need to have some understanding and compassion as well? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And like you go back and if you look at how the Cleveland game ended, it's literally the exact same scenario but in reverse, except it was the right call. But the Blackman, if you watch the video, the Blackman player that's standing behind the plate, he's slapping his hand on home plate saying he tagged there, he tagged there. The catcher did a great job. I'm guessing it's Tippins if it's the same kid that was. He did a great job of positioning himself, sliding in there and applying the tag, and he blocks the hands from being able to get across the plate. Like everybody's going to have an opinion about a call.
Yeah.
Everybody especially in the moment, that kid behind home plate thought that runner got in there and slid under the tag.
Yeah.
It's a bang bang play. It's really really tough. If you're a parent of a little league kid, you should volunteer to go do some umpiring yourself.
You won't.
It's hard.
You won't.
I honest to goodness, I think we've talked about this on the show before.
You should have to do so many games.
I think you should. I think you should
Completely agree.
Have to go ref. And if you're going to be somebody that's arguing the stands, you need to know the rules. Last night, obviously, we have a still shot that's a clear picture. But I think umpires get such a bad rap when they shouldn't.
So it's funny you talk about that. I umpired a scrimmage game between my son's team when he was in Little League, and it was like a kind of a split squad with some other kids, and obviously trying to do the best you can. You have no intentions. It's a scrimmage game. Who cares the result? But like I had parents chirping, and I legit turned and said, "Shut up." And they're like, I'm like, I'm a parent too. I'm just out here doing this, and you're sitting there. So people do need to get that stuff in check. But I'll say this: I've got this umpire's back because like I said, I've seen him umpire a lot of baseball. He's done a very good job over a long period of time. Has he messed up on calls? Yes. Have I seen him? Yes. But I'll say this. This is my opinion on this unless I talk to Travis Adams on the phone and he says, every single time this guy calls one of our games, this happens. Then I'll have a different opinion. Or this guy is out to get us because this, and this. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
It's not. Yeah, I agree. And really, like, again, we as fans, I read out the TW as an announcer. I read out the TSSAA. Make the sportsmanship respectful. All that announcement. I read it out before every game.
Ditto.
It's important to remember.
You have to remind yourself.
It's kids. It's kids playing. Like when I umped T-ball, I had to throw out a coach.
That's awesome.
I was 15 years old.
That's just how tough Jacob Mason is what that is.
15 years old.
That's what's happening here.
I threw him out, and then he tried to climb over the fence at me. So, like, we just have to keep it into perspective. Like, at the end of the day, like, yes, I hate it for Bradley. I really do. Like, I've got some of my favorite kids I've ever coached that are starting in that lineup, and I hate it for them because last night they deserved that tie that game up and have a chance. But at the end of the day, baseball has a human element to it, and there's going to be missed calls. It happens. It's going to happen.
Unfortunately, the Bears lose that game 1-0. The good news is they play again today at 6 p.m.
No, they're playing right now.
Oh, they are playing. They moved the start time up?
It's a doubleheader tonight.
Give us the info real quick.
So if Bradley wins, it becomes a doubleheader. So currently they are live in the bottom of the fourth. They are trailing Siegel 1-0.
Another 1-0 baseball game.
I'm almost positive that Cleveland also. I am positive they were playing earlier today.
So let me get to Cleveland's yesterday before we do that.
Okay.
And I do know for a fact Cleveland is playing right now as we speak. But they're up at Blackman, Murfreesboro Blackman, and the Blue Raiders won Game 1 yesterday 2-1 on a beautiful third out play at the plate. Owen Golio right fielder for the Blue Raiders, delivers an absolute. You talk about, we're fired up talking college football coming up. Golio throws a dime, man, straight to catcher Caden Tippett to get the third out of the game. So huge play there for the Blue Raiders to win over the Blaze of Blackman 2-1 yesterday. Today's game started at 2 o'clock, I believe, Eastern time, 1 o'clock Central time.
And they lost 10-5.
So 10-5 final, Blackman winning game 2. So what that means is there will be a game 3. It was originally scheduled for tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Central, which, again, they're up there in Murfreesboro. So that is Central time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I know they moved it up for potential weather here. I guess we could, if text us. If if they've moved that game up to tonight or if it's planning on being played to tomorrow. I know you've got a source.
Yeah, I'm getting that. I'm getting that answer right now.
You can text, but currently, again, Cleveland lost 10-5, so tied 1-1 in that series. And then Bradley, if they can find a way to win this game, will force a game 3 that will happen tonight.
Yeah, so that's wild. If you get an opportunity, go on over to Bradley High School and maybe catch the end of this one. If the Bears can pull off a win, catch game 3. I would imagine typically it's about 45 minutes after the conclusion of the first game of the day when they do those doubleheaders. But, yeah, definitely some big news in high school baseball. High school softball, Walker Valley is playing tonight at 6 p.m., so right around the time this show's finishing up. The Feisty Phillies are taking on Murfreesboro Oakland. That is at Walker Valley High School. Big deal for the Feisty Phillies. Lady Mustangs doing a great job. Obviously, I believe it was Wednesday, winning the region championship over a very good East Hamilton team. You talk about one-run games. Won that game 1-0 for the Region 3 4A championship down at Frost Stadium. Again, that was on Wednesday. So trying to punch their ticket to the state tournament as well, the Spring Fling. It's that time of year, Jacob. I tell you what, man, there's a lot going on here in our spring sports.
Yeah, I mean, all across the county, softball, soccer, all of it. I mean, it's exciting. And then I want to give a shout out. Ocoee Middle School golf finished second in the state earlier this week. So, there's just lots of tracks going on. There's lots going on right now, and our county is well represented, which is nice.
Yeah, hey, with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to cover some Atlanta Braves stuff. A lot going on with the Atlanta Braves, kind of making some moves and things of that sort. Obviously, Acuna getting ready to make his return. Played down in Gwinnett last night. We're going to talk about that. And we're also eventually going to get to our all-time college football draft yesterday. We did tight ends and running backs. That was a lot of fun. Jacob and I made our picks. We'll recap those. And then today we're going to draft receivers and quarterbacks. So it's a fun day for our all-time college football draft. And I do want to say this. I hope our buddy Josh Rogers is listening. We're not going down the line picking the absolute best guys. We're picking the guys we like, the guys that we want on our team. And listen, Bo Jackson, he'll land somewhere. He doesn't need Andy and Jacob. You're listening to The Drive. Go ahead, Jacob.
No, you're fine. You're listening to The Drive.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today.
Got an injury that just can't wait? There's no need to delay your care. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is excited to announce that our Urgent Ortho Walk-In Clinic is now available on Saturdays at the Gun Barrel Road location. Open from 8 to noon, we're here to treat sprains, strains, fractures, and more. No appointment needed. So skip the long ER wait and get specialized orthopedic care fast. Visit us this Saturday at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics Urgent Ortho. We're the center for expert care right when you need it. Learn more at sportmed.com.
Listen to the Alon Exchange, hosted by financial professionals Jay and Brittany Hagee, owners of Alon Planning Partners. Each week, they discuss all things financial and answer your questions about investing, preparing for retirement, paying down debt, and more. The Alon Exchange, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Don't miss the Paul Feinbaum Show, weekday afternoons from 2 until 5 on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Always topical, always entertaining. Paul Feinbaum on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. When you need a new roof, it's all about trust. Your home is too big an investment and you can't afford to make a mistake. Cleveland Plywood has the products and expertise you're looking for. Contractors have trusted them for over 50 years, and they carry only proven products from reputable suppliers like IKO. IKO Cambridge is one of the heaviest weight asphalt shingles you can buy, and their limited warranties are among the industry's best. Protect the investment you've made in your home. Go with the pros at Cleveland Plywood, 2700 20th Street Northeast in Cleveland. Call 472-3357. ESPN Cleveland 1013 is powered by Duracell.
Did you know Honda builds 70% of their U.S. sold Hondas right here in America? 70%. Honda has 12 manufacturing facilities in the U.S. So don't let the tariff talk spook you. While KBB.com names Honda best value brand in America, 70% of Hondas are built right here in the good old USA. Honda Cleveland is a local family-owned business and the Chattanooga region's only President's Award winner 4 years in a row, not to mention a Carfax top-rated lifetime dealer, too. If you need service, parts, tires, Honda Cleveland can help. Get the work completed and pay over time with up to 3 months interest-free, with no hard credit check and a 90% approval rate. Right now, Honda Cleveland has 1.99% on Ridgeline pickup and 0% on the all-electric Honda Prologue SUV. With 5 assembly plants in full swing, Honda is one of the most American brands you can buy. Come take a spin. Honda Cleveland, your car, your way, every day. I-75 exit 20, 1 mile east. Hope to see you soon.
When you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And there's no one that knows that feeling like Cleveland Allstate agent George Gray, because he works every day to get people like you the coverage they need with the savings they deserve. Contact him for your free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. Savings vary based on the average annual savings report by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Discover your new favorite sweet treat, the Mayfield Dairy Ice Cream Bar. Now available in 4 delicious flavors: chocolate chip cookie dough, chocolate fudge brownie, caramel waffle cone, and cherry fudge chunk. Learn more at MayfieldDairy.com. Mayfield Dairy, proud supporter of The Drive and the Atlanta Braves.
And proud supporter of Jacob Mason's refrigerator. So
that's it. We like to hit up the Mayfield products at the Morris household as well. But listen, so before we went to break, we were talking about our good, dear friend Josh Rogers and just the way he laid into us yesterday when we were doing our for fun all-time pick'em college football draft. And, you know, we picked some really good players, I felt like, and then we just get this onslaught of messages from Josh just criticizing us for our stupidity. And Josh must have not caught the beginning of the show where we said, listen, we're going to try to pick the best guys we can, but we're not going to go down the line like picking off of whoever ESPN or 24/7 Sports has ranked in their top 1, 2, 3, and so on. Like, you know, there's some heart and soul that went into this a little bit. And, you know, I went with Warwick Dunn, and he said, Andy, you moron. Warwick Dunn over Bo Jackson, which, of course, Bo Jackson's phenomenal. But, you know, I went with Ricky Williams, who, listen, that guy's pretty good too.
Yeah, I thought Josh would have my back on the whole Herschel Walker thing, but he did not. He's
that's a dog turning on a dog right there.
Know.
That's dog-on dog crime, boy.
Dog crime, but no, it's all in good fun. Hey, Josh, once we get done, you send us a list of your team with who's left over from ours.
So you're gonna handcuff them to where it's what's left over?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Unless you're around and out and about and you pull up here in the next 30 minutes, I got a mic and a chair open for you, buddy. You can come in and give us your team as well. I'd love to hear it.
Listen, Josh, your chair's just sitting wide open, man. Here, like we've kind of got it designated to like a in memoriam since Josh doesn't come around anymore.
Hey, we have a T-shirt shirt printer at school. That
I used to call you Big Time Mason. Like, he's Big Time Rogers now.
Hey, I'm gonna have to make a thing on Canva that says in memory of Josh Rogers and put it right there in that chair.
Listen, Josh, please tell me this. Have you just turned into a straight up career politician? Are you one of those guys now? Is that what's happening? Listen, no, I text Josh as we're coming on air to make sure he was listening. We're having a lot of fun. But hey, so let's go ahead and talk about Braves. I know we'll get some input, from Josh Rogers on this because, man, the Braves are starting to play some good baseball, getting ready to start a series with Boston, which we're going to dive into here in a little bit. But Ronald Acuna Jr., we've been doing these Ronald updates every single day, just about. Went 2 for 3 with a single and 2 doubles last night in his first AAA appearance for the Gwinnett Stripers.
Yeah, hey, it looked good. I'm pretty sure I saw 106 off the bat for the double. So, I mean, exactly what you're wanting to see from him. And I'm sure he's just itching, man. He's itching to get back out there.
Well, I know a lot of Braves fans are itching for him to get back on the team as well and join the big club, as you will. But one thing that was really a big deal in the whole Ronald Acuna, Snit, Jared Kelenic situation, and this is a tidbit that I thought was really cool. We talked about it on the show yesterday. He apologized to Snit on his return and sat down in his office with him and just took complete ownership, which I think is big of Acuna. That's something that a leader should do. I bashed him a couple of weeks ago as a leader because he did something that leaders shouldn't do by taking to social media. But then he met with the team. Obviously, Jared Kelenic was tore up by this whole situation because he was kind of the one at fault in that moment that presented that platform for Acuna to voice those emotions when Kelenic, started the trot, thought he had a homer, was walking kind of, big timed it there since we're talking big time guys with you and Rogers over here today. But And that's what got this whole thing stirred up. And Acuna said, if it were me, I would have been benched, yada, yada, yada. Well, one thing that I caught, it wasn't even like a big story or anything. I didn't see any beat writers posting about it. But when they did the lineups for AAA Gwinnett last night, as they were called out, guess who was standing beside each other? Ronald Acuna Jr. and Jared Kelenic. And one thing that I saw was Acuna high-five Kelenic on his way out. And then after the whole team was announced, they dapped each other up again, gave each other a hug, put their hats on, touched gloves. So there was a conversation that took place between those guys as well. And I'm sure Acuna said, listen, that had nothing to do with you, man. So all that stuff is behind the Braves, behind Ronald Acuna. And Kelnic's a guy who might be able to come back and help this team at some point this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll be honest, that's the temptation of social media that gets you. It's easy to let your thoughts out and type them out, but then once you put it on there, you can erase it, but somebody's already screenshotted it, and it's going to be out there. If it's anything controversial,
those screenshots are undefeated, man.
They are, and I kind of talk about how words are like toothpaste coming out of the tube. You can take some of it back, but you can't get it all back in the tube, and that's kind of what he tried to do. He tried to erase it and but once it's out there, it's out there. But he did a great job of owning up to it. And for a guy that makes millions and millions and millions of dollars, to humble yourself and go before your team and do all that, like, there's a lot of guys in that league, and there's a lot of guys throughout sports in general that are like, I can say whatever I want to say, and don't have the awareness to be like, man, I messed up there. So
I'm sure that there was either a meeting or a phone call or something that took place at some point. I know David Justice lives in L.A. He lives out in California. Acuna was spending some time down there. I know Fred McGriff is in Florida, not far from the Braves spring training complex. Acuna spent some time there. There might have been a face-to-face with one of those type of guys. There might have been a phone call from Andrew Jones, which is someone Acuna has a ton of respect for. And I think that was probably a first step. That's something that we talked about on the show that should have happened, but glad to move on from that. And in some other news, you talk about some former Atlanta Braves. Did you hear about Rafael Furcal?
I did not.
So, Braves legend, former Rookie of the Year, Rafael Furcal, arrested for throwing a missile into an occupied vehicle. And you remember how he used to throw the baseball from shortstop to first base. It was an absolute missile. I thought that like he threw like a rock or something into a car when I was reading the headline for this. He legit. So somebody made old Raf mad. Rafael Furcal was upset. some type of actual missile is what they're calling it, was thrown into a car by Rafael Furcal.
So like a firework?
Something that's going to blow up.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to assume it's some kind of firework or something.
Yeah, something. But anyway, it was an occupied vehicle that he threw it into, and the guys, listen, I know he's a little bit older now. Sure, he's still got a cannon.
Yeah, GTA 6 didn't come out for a while. we're still waiting on GTA.
For our listeners that don't know what that is, help them out a little bit.
It's a video game. There's a big joke.
Grand Theft Auto.
There's a big joke on the internet like that we got a pope before Grand Theft Auto 6 and all that stuff. It's been in the makes for a long time.
Big time video game that gets pretty rough and rowdy.
It's like you can.
It's real life.
You can just do whatever you want, and so a lot of people do some really crazy stuff on there. So that throwing a missile / firework / whatever it is into a car is a GTA move for sure.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Rafael Furcal looks like he's going to be facing some jail time. We'll keep you updated as we get more info on that story.
That's wild, bro.
Just had to throw that one out there. I was a big Rafael Furcal fan as well, so unfortunate. But, yeah, last night the Atlanta Braves beat the Nats. And I'm going to go ahead and put a G in front of those Nats because they're pesky, and guess what? We took care of them 5-2 yesterday in the Businessman Special, taking the series from those Nats 3-1. A solid team effort hitting the baseball yesterday. A lot of guys recording hits, which is something that we're kind of lacking here in recent play. But a great outing from A.J. Smith-Shawver as well, going six innings, 2 hits, 1 run. Only 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. Guess who kept it rolling offensively yesterday?
Ozzy.
No. See that I wish that we could say that.
I just thought because he had some momentum going. I thought that.
But on par with what he's been doing. Who you think showed up and hit the baseball?
Yeah, well,
who we been pumping up here? Drake Baldwin, 3 hits, 1 RBI, 3 hits in that game. Drake is seeing the baseball very well right now.
I know it. Again, it just makes that whole conversation of like if you get to, the All-Star break and there's people calling that have stuff to offer up. It's hard not to think about, the Sean Murphy trade or even, somebody may be calling for Drake. I don't know that the Braves let go of a 24-year-old that has as much promise as he does.
We already did it with Contreras, and that left a lot of us kind of scratching our heads like, you guys playing great right now.
Yeah, so I don't know. It just I'll be honest. I'm going to stop trying to guess what AA does because
he knows better than we do.
He knows way better than I do, and he finds a way. Like even when I think he's made a poor move, it ends up being something that really works out for us. So I'm going to stop trying to do AA's job and just report what he does versus give my opinion on it.
Yeah, Nick Allen had 2 hits last night. Good to see some offensive production from our shortstop there. Also had a walk, so 3 really good ABs from Nick Allen. Marcell Ozuna, 2 RBI, double. Talk about a guy that's an RBI machine. If it's hitting the bombs or just driving guys in, Marcell Ozuna doing a great job as the designated hitter for the Braves. And guess what? Raisel Iglesias recorded the save. Good to see that. Hopefully we get his confidence rolling. Tonight, the Braves are on the road and at historic Fenway Park taking on the Boston Red Sox for a weekend 3-game set. The Red Sox currently 22-23. They're trying to get back to 500 and second in the American League East. First pitch of the game tonight, 7:10 first pitch. Chris Sale on the mound for your Braves. And Garrett Crochet, who's 4-2 with a 1.93 ERA. That guy's been throwing the ball really good for Boston this year. So he's on the mound for the Red Sox. And you'll be able to catch that game on Mix 104.1 and on ESPN Cleveland 101.3 pre- and post-game show. Presented every single Braves game here on this station, presented by Mountain View Nissan of Cleveland.
Have you seen Boston City Connect jerseys?
I've not seen.
I'm gonna pass it.
Are they a first-year City Connect team? Because I don't remember another one before.
So they're Green Monster themed City Connect.
Yeah, I've not seen them.
All right, I'm gonna pass you phone across the way here.
Oh, okay, so you said the Green Monster City Connect. So one thing that I'm seeing here that I absolutely love. The guy standing in front of the Green Monster in the picture, the color matches. So green jersey with the double white piping around the sleeve and the collar. Red Sox in big white letters that just look just like the letters painted on the Green Monster. And then the yellow Nike check, not a big fan of that, but the yellow number on the jersey, just like they put on the scoreboard. These things are pretty slick. One thing I hate about the City Connects for a lot of teams are when they do too much. This is perfect.
Do you think it's the scoreboard, or do you think it's the foul pole?
The scoreboard, because they use yellow for certain things on the scoreboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, regardless,
I'm going to find out why they yellow.
Normally you can look it up. MLB posted it 2 hours ago. It said just in, the Red Sox have revealed their Green Monster themed City Connect uniforms. I dig it. It's something different. Again, like you said, it's not too much. I'll be honest though, like a lot of. You're right. Pesky pole. It's a nod at pesky pole and Fisk pole. That's exactly why they did it. So like I'm a big, like, I like the simple, but I also will say I loved Chicago. I think Chicago did it right the first time. I'm not a huge the Bulls one that they did, but
I thought it was neat. It was different.
It's different, but like their black Southside jerseys. Well,
those were slick.
Dude, they're awesome.
And I like the Wrigleyville ones that the Cubs used.
Yeah. I thought the Braves was a nod at history. They're not my favorite, but they're not my least favorite by any means.
I definitely like them, but I'll tell you what I don't like about them. I like them as a uniform. I think they look good because they look so similar to our 74 throwbacks that are a huge tribute to Hank Aaron. But because they're so similar, we quit using the actual throwback. That's what I don't like about it. And so I'm anxious to see. The Braves did announce they are going to have another City Connect uniform coming up, I believe, next season. But I don't know why they did them so similar, because it looks almost just like our 74 uniforms. So that's one thing. You talk about City Connects that you don't really care for. Worst in baseball, in my opinion, San Diego Padres. They use like a neon pink and a neon green and a neon yellow. It looks like a kid with highlighters designed the uniform.
Yeah, that's probably more like them trying to get the kids to buy a jersey, and because I know a lot of young kids like I'm pretty sure my nephew has one. He's a Braves fan, but like he also loves to collect jerseys from different teams and some of his favorite players that play around the league. But yeah, I'm not a fan of him either. I'm more like you. I'm more of a simplistic guy. I like the Reds. I think the Reds have a really neat City Connect uniform.
Hey, Arizona Diamondbacks. Have you seen theirs? The purple and teal. Theirs are pretty cool. So it's a nod at their original team colors back when they beat the Yankees in the World Series in 2001, and predominantly purple with the teal numbers, and it says. It's in Spanish. It's like serpents in Spanish on the front in teal. Pretty cool for the Diamondbacks. And then like Miami, their new City Connects aren't bad. They debuted this year, May 3rd of this year, and they're black and kind of have that Miami Vice look to them.
Are the Dodgers, aren't they the most like simplistic one?
Yeah, they're like royal blue, just bright blue, and it says Dodgers on the chest.
Yeah, do you think the Yankees will ever do one?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna vote no. I almost feel like unless MLB like makes them do it. Like, I mean, Lord, they still have rules about like your hair and they're. It's interesting.
We talked about the facial hair rule.
Yeah.
They've kind of laid off of that, but Aaron Judge kind of set the tone and said we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, they as a team have laid off, but like their leaders are like, this is the Yankees. This is who we are.
So have you seen the San Francisco Giants' new City Connect? So last year they had the only thing that I didn't like about them last year were they had the orange numbers on the white jersey that faded into white. So essentially you could only see the top part of the numbers. So it was almost like there was a fog on the bottom and you couldn't see the full number. But their new ones that they released this year are a tribute to like their music scene in San Francisco, and it's a tribute to the sounds and energy of the city's music scene, inspired by psychedelic posters. So basically the San Francisco Giants with these psychedelic uniforms are celebrating the drug culture of San Francisco, which completely blows my mind.
This is
real. This is a real thing.
Is it these?
That's them. So it's supposed to have like a psychedelic effect to them. Kind of the psychedelic music posters that are, things that you're familiar with. Most listeners are probably like the Grateful Dead kind of looking posters with the colors and the loopy, bubbly looking shapes and stuff. Like, that's literally drug culture. There's nothing that screams San Francisco louder than that.
Well, I'm sitting here like, so you're telling me I have to like take shrooms to understand your jersey? I mean, like,
listen, you're on pace with what I'm getting at. And so I actually had a conversation with Will Clark, very, very, prolific player for the San Francisco Giants in the 80s and even into the early 90s. He extended his career. But Will Clark said, I asked him about him, and he goes, "Don't even get me freaking started." And he didn't say freaking.
That's hilarious.
But he it drove him crazy. But the Astros have some pretty cool ones. But, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. And so the Dodgers did get a Take-Two this past year, and they're like the cream, and it says Los Angeles. There's an article on ESPN if you are looking for it, but they look pretty good. You see those?
Yeah. Cream. I mean, I had a few middle school baseball guys say, like, you ever thought about doing cream jerseys?
When I think cream jerseys, the two organizations that come to mind are the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants. They've got some classic, good-looking cream uniforms. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
hey, since we're just kind of trailing off a little bit, there has been some breaking news today in football. I know this has been talked about for a long time, but the 49ers and Brock Purdy are finalizing a 5-year deal worth $265 million. That's going to be about $55 million a year. He gets
finally getting paid.
Yeah, he gets $181 million guaranteed. He has 64 career touchdowns, 27 interceptions, a 23-13 record, and 9,518 passing yards.
Wasn't he the one that was still basically playing on like a league almost minimum contract?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he was like a 6th-round draft pick.
Yeah, he was.
And then just with all the injuries, worked his way up and like balled out.
So he hadn't been paid until this.
No.
He's finally getting really. He's one of those guys, we complain about professional athletes making such good money. He's finally getting what he's due.
Yeah, for sure. And at the quarterback position, like that's kind of what the going rate is. Like you look at Geno Smith's contract with the Raiders, he was around the $40 million mark. You look at, pretty sure it was who did Seattle sign? Sam Darnold. His was around that 35 to 40 mark, and Brock Purdy's been pretty elite at being a ball deliverer. I'm not saying that he is God's gift to earth by any means, but he's a good NFL quarterback, and he's taken them to some great heights. I know they didn't have a great year last year, but that's more so because their whole team was riddled with injuries. But he's finally getting his money because again, he's been playing on like the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And so, quick stat here that I got in a message says all but one SEC quarterback has made more money than him. All but one starting SEC quarterback has made more money than that man who's a starting NFL quarterback.
That's wild.
That's crazy, isn't it? So, we're sitting here, it's 5:42, and again, we are streaming here on Mix TV and Facebook and YouTube. So glad to have our listeners with us. Please tell a friend. Help grow this show, and we love to interact with you guys, so you can always call in, text us on the Volunteer Ridipest phone and text line at 423-749-1013. But yesterday, Jacob and I, we talked about college football and how excited we were. We did, we started our draft, which we're going to get to here momentarily. But I got to looking at the opening weekend, really week 0 and week 1 of college football. And, man, it just got me absolutely fired up for this upcoming season. And I'm looking at some of these matchups. And personally, big Notre Dame fan. Obviously, I talk about it all the time. Notre Dame, Miami. I'm excited about that game. Outside of my game,
Catholics versus convicts.
That's it. Bringing it back, man.
Bringing it back.
LSU, Clemson.
That'd be a great game.
That's exciting to me. Brian Kelly, Dabo Swinney.
Well, a lot of
two teams that are kind of like, what are we now?
Well,
what are we going to be?
A lot of people are really high on LSU. There's been a lot of picks for them to win the SEC this year. And really, in my opinion, Brian Kelly is kind of in that.
He's due.
Well, he's in that year where, like, you got to show it to me. Like, he's had some really good teams. He's had a Heisman-winning quarterback. He's had a lot of talent. Has been to the SEC championship. He's done a lot, except win and continue on. So this year,
get to the playoff and succeed.
Yeah, this year is kind of that year where I feel like LSU fans are sitting there saying like, hey, like we paid you a lot of money to come down from Notre Dame. Like it's time to see results.
So here's a cool one. And the reason this is so cool is because Tennessee in Atlanta, they're playing Syracuse. What's really cool about that is Syracuse is a good football team.
Yeah.
Like that's actually a big-time matchup. Typically, here in the past 10, 15 years, you hear Syracuse and you're like, yeah, who cares? Syracuse is a good football team now. They're well coached. Friend of mine, Chad Smith, strength and conditioning coach, former Bradley Central quarterback, Chad Smith. He's strength and conditioning coach at Syracuse now, and those guys are excited about what they're doing.
Well, Fran Brown was a star when he was at UGA. He was a great recruiter. He brought a ton of energy, and then when he went up there to Syracuse, he was a personality that media people could get behind. They loved interviewing him. They loved talking to him. He's high energy. He brings a great vibe to the team. Players want to play for them or play for him. And in today's college football, you need that. You need a guy that players are bought into because really, I hate to beat this nail in the ground every time, but with the NIL era, it's really easy to hop in that portal and go money chasing. When you believe in your coach and you believe in the guy that's at the top, you end up having a good team. And, Tennessee, with all the offseason stuff that's going on, I think that's going to be a really good game that a lot of fans are going to get up for.
Yeah, and it should be. Syracuse had a ton of success last year. And another one, Florida State and Alabama.
Another one.
Listen, Mike Norvell, this is a make-or-break season for him, I believe. I think if he struggles like they did last year again this season, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for Mike Norvell. It might be a final straw type deal if it's as bad as it was last year. Things just completely fell apart for the Seminoles last year. But he's a guy, he's won on the big stage. When he's had a healthy Travis Hunter, they were as good as anybody, in my opinion. They could have played with anybody in the country. I don't care what you say. They could have. Unfortunately, never really got to see how that story ended with, did I say Jordan Travis? I think I said Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis is who I was referring to. When he went down, we didn't get to see the ending to that story. They took the final chapter and they ripped the pages out of the book.
Yeah.
So, Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. Who is he as Alabama's head coach? We know what he was at Washington. He recruited great. They competed and were pretty solid in the Pac-12, Pac-4, Pac-16, whatever they were called when he was there. Now he's in SEC country, and he's yet to prove that he's an elite coach. He's a good coach. He's still a good coach. But is he elite level?
Yeah. I'm starting to see the improvements even in the offseason. I personally think when you had a coach like Nick Saban to come in and be so lax and just let everybody interview and do all those things, I feel like you were kind of opening the door for some controversy because Nick Saban was so by the book and Alabama fans just knew what to expect from him for forever. And then that Oklahoma game last year, I still sit here and think how in the world...
Just talk about completely just missing a weekend of football.
Yeah, it's
just not showing up.
And you've never seen... I don't know that I could ever say that I've seen a Nick Saban team that just didn't show up like they did against Oklahoma.
I remember watching Nick Saban coach at Michigan State, and I don't remember anything like that.
Yeah, and so I agree. It's kind of a proving year. Here's the thing. I tell people this all the time. If you're a college football coach right now, or you're an AD, and you fire somebody, who are you going to go get though? Who? To me, DeBoer is a great coach. He might not be Nick Saban, which let's be honest, nobody really is. The closest thing that we've seen to it so far as a carbon copy is Kirby Smart, and
yeah.
I'll say it as a Georgia fan. He literally stole their draft board and everything. He stole everything from Nick Saban. He wanted to recreate that at Georgia.
Because you take what is working and what's the best, what's at the top of the food chain, and you try to replicate it.
You try to replicate it, and Nick Saban is the best to ever do it. So Alabama fans are going to have to be patient. They're going to have to understand like there's going to be some growing pains, and we live in a new era of football. There are players that are all across the country right now that would have sat at Alabama and been second and third string wide receivers, and then played 1 year, had an outstanding year, and then would have been a number 1 to number 2 draft pick. That's not happening anymore. Luther Burden, that was at Missouri, he would have been one of those guys that would have gone and sat at Alabama for 2 years behind that talented room.
You're exactly right.
Instead, he took a $1.2 million NIL check.
There's a lot of guys
Missouri.
doing that have departed or just not even entertained going to Alabama because of that reason.
Yeah, and then now, like I used to call it the Nick Saban discount, getting guys when the NIL started. Guys would come to Alabama because they knew their NFL careers were going to look, much better.
Yeah.
And they're not getting that discount like they used to get. So, and really, not a whole lot of coaches around the country are. You've got to be a very talented individual to draw that in.
Yeah, we got to wrap up these last two really quick. So another one that I thought was really cool, South Carolina, Virginia Tech. Shane Beamer, head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, playing his daddy's old team, Virginia Tech Hokies. That one is going to take place in Atlanta. What a cool scene that's going to be, and I hope they honor his dad there. Frank Beamer is a guy who I had a ton of respect for as a head coach. And then, listen, the Dublin, Ireland. You know who they cheer for in Dublin, Ireland, don't you? You know the answer to that, Jacob?
Sorry, go ahead. I was looking at something else.
Dublin, Ireland. You know who in college football who Dublin, Ireland pulls for, right?
No. Who is it?
Who's their college football team?
It's Notre Dame.
Wrong.
Really?
Iowa State and Kansas State, Dublin, Ireland. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that one out there. Hey, real quick, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're getting into our draft right here on The Drive on ESPN Cleveland.
Presented by Hardees.
Comfort. Introducing Hardees' new home-style breakfast burritos with cheese, fluffy egg, crispy hash browns, breakfast sausage, bacon, and sliced ham in a warm tortilla served with a side of Texas Pete hot sauce. Home-style breakfast burritos, only at Hardees. Goodness in the making. My Rewards members get a free blueberry biscuit or sausage biscuit when you order on the app. Limited time only. Exclusions may apply by time of day. See app for terms.
Got an injury that just can't wait? There's no need to delay your care. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is excited to announce that our Urgent Ortho Walk-In Clinic is now available on Saturdays at the Gun Barrel Road location. Open from 8 to noon, we're here to treat sprains, strains, fractures, and more. No appointment needed. So skip the long ER wait and get specialized orthopedic care fast. Visit us this Saturday at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics Urgent Ortho. We're the center for expert care right when you need it. Learn more at sportmed.com.
Cleveland Tire Center for over 45 years with the best name in tires: Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, and Michelin. Northley Highway, Cleveland. Cleveland Tire Center, where the name says it all.
Hey guys, this is Dan Good from Crown. Just reminding you that Crown Jeep is Cleveland and Bradley County's Jeep headquarters.
Have you seen what happens when a weed eater gets too close to vinyl siding? Ouch! Choose steel siding from Best Buy Metals, available in board and batten and lap siding options. Permanent siding from Best Buy Metals is custom manufactured to the half-inch for a perfect fit. Stop by a showroom or go to bestbuymetalroof.com to learn how you can protect your structure.
Check Into Cash is your one-stop money shop and has been helping customers with cash solutions since 1993. If you're short on cash and need a little help to overcome a financial hurdle, we're here for you. Our Chattanooga area stores, including Cleveland and Athens, offer payday loans and flex line of credit options. We understand that doing the research for these loans can be overwhelming. That's why we strive to make the application process simple and convenient. We also provide quick in-store services like check cashing, money orders, wire transfers, and even gift card buyback. Want to learn more about your options? Visit our website at checkintocash.com. Our lending decisions are made quickly, and if approved, you can have cash in hand. Take the first step toward a bright financial future. We're here to help. Not all consumers will qualify. Eligibility, rates, terms, and conditions apply. Rates, restrictions, and fees apply to store services. Please call or visit your local store for details.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Hey, welcome back to The Drive. Excited to be with you. You got me? Am I in? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't hear myself.
It's just.
Is it just because the music's really loud?
It's just rookie mode around here. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Listen, so before the break, I could hear myself a lot better. So I just want to make sure my volume was up. Yeah, you're good. That's good right there. Definitely better. I think that's where you had me. Yeah. Welcome back to The Drive. Jacob and I are in here just messing the place up, having a good time while we're doing it. And we're going to go ahead and get a quick shout out to our friends at Duracell, because guess what? They're hiring mechanical skilled technicians from $22 an hour to $27 an hour. Great wage, excellent benefits beginning on day one, medical, dental, vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. Once again, that's Duracell.com.
So, hey, give us a little update. Bradley, top of the 7th. Siegel is up 1-0. Jackson Humble is having a heck of a game. Just for me watching here on my phone, that's why I've been a little distracted. I've been over here
keeping up with the ball games,
trying to keep up with the ball games. Jackson Humble hit a double in the 5th, and then he just hit a double in the 7th. He is on second, and Cook is up to bat with 1 out. So need to find a way to get Humble in to tie this game up.
Tyler Cook, not a bad guy to have at the plate to do that.
Yeah, not at all. So currently it's a 2-1 count with 1 out. But I will hop over to Cleveland here in a second.
And I think that game did go final. It was 10-5 final. We did report that already.
Yeah, we did. And are they playing again tonight, or are they playing tomorrow?
Yeah, they're playing a doubleheader. So Cleveland lost game 2 today, 10-5.
Well, they start at 6, I'm guessing. That's probably when
that's what I was trying to get an answer on that.
Yeah, so
come on, AD Al Morris, give your brother a shout out here so we can let the people know what's going on.
But Bradley, 2 outs. Cook popped out to right, so kind of on their last leg here. Got to figure out how to get Humble in right now.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated on that as we kind of take some time now to go back to our all-time college football draft. And I'm having a lot of fun with this because I'm diving in, doing the research and stuff. And yesterday we started with tight ends and running backs, and I feel like I had a pretty good day one. Tight end, former Tennessee Vol Jason Witten, former Miami Hurricane Jeremy Shockey. Running backs, I went with Work Done and Ricky Williams. I feel like that's a good running back room regardless of what Josh Rogers says.
Yeah, I kind of split it up a little bit, but today my drafts are going to be a little bit different. I kind of took somebody that, one, I like and I do believe is one of the best tight ends in college football history. But then I kind of went back on the history side. Kind of, really my thought was I
with Ozzie Newsome. That was a good pick.
I wanted some of our older listeners as well to be able to relate to our teams that could go back and.
We lost them a long time ago, dude.
the good old days.
I'm just kidding.
Because, I was nowhere to be found in 1974.
Okay, so Cleveland, this is once again a quick high school baseball update. Cleveland will play at 2 Eastern time tomorrow. That's 1 Central up there in Murfreesboro against Blackman where they're at. So Cleveland will play Blackman tomorrow at 2 Eastern. And that's game 3, winner take all, headed to the state tournament, headed to the spring fling.
So Siegel is going to advance, ground out to 3rd. Humble was at 3rd, and he was out at 1st. So on my game changer it says mid-7th, but Siegel was the home team.
That's a final.
Yeah, that's going to be a final.
Man, so that just makes that game last night sting a little bit more.
Yeah, especially with them being such close ball games as well. Yeah. Another 1-0 loss.
Hate that for the Bears.
Me
Definitely
too.
Do.
Me too.
So getting back to this college football draft, yesterday Jacob went with Brock Bowers, former Georgia tight end, and Ozzie Newsome, who all-time great. And I like the fact that you went back And then your running backs were Herschel Walker, surprise, surprise, another dog for Mason. And then Reggie Bush, the USC Trojan, who I considered, but there was no way I was ever going to pick him. So easily one of the best running backs of all time in college football. So what we talked about today is we're going to jump over, and the position groups we're going to cover are wide receiver and quarterback. Really excited about this. And I figured that I would let you pick first at the wide receiver position.
All right. If I get the 1-1, I am going to go Larry Fitzgerald.
Who was on my list. I have a list of several. And Larry Fitzgerald at Pitt. This is before he was in NFL with the Arizona Cardinals. When he was at Pitt, easily at the time, people considered him maybe the best wide receiver of all time.
Yeah, to me, again, that's like that romantic era of me falling in love with college football. That 2002, he was there from 2002.
Making me feel old, dude.
And just watching him, it just felt like he was a freak amongst little kids. He was unreal, and then he went on to have a great NFL career. But him in college, you take out his pro career, still unreal career at Pitt.
So with my first pick at wide receiver, I'm going to go with the Heisman Trophy winner from the University of Notre Dame, Tim Brown. Tim Brown obviously went on to become an NFL Hall of Famer, but in college at Notre Dame, just a absolute physical, aggressive receiver that, in my opinion, he is definitely in that conversation of greatest of all time, especially the fact that you're talking about a guy who won a Heisman Trophy. That's a big deal from a receiver.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to go with a Heisman Trophy winner as well. So if you want to talk about Tim Brown a little bit more, you go right ahead. I just don't have much to add. I was like 3 at the time. So
yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to go Devontae Smith at Alabama, the speedster. I always think back to those.
Not a bad pick at all. A lot of people consider him the best receiver of all time.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy how dominant that team was, that they were playing rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets to go, catch the touchdown pass. But Devontae Smith is going to be my number 2 pick. Just kind of like I think he could play a really good slot role. With Larry out on the outside.
Okay, so far with 2 picks, Jacob's got Larry Fitzgerald and Devontae Smith from the University of Alabama. Larry Fitzgerald from Pitt, and I've went with Tim Brown from Notre Dame. Looking at my list of guys, we're talking about some good players at the receiver position, and we've went back-to-back Heisman Trophy winners, right?
Yeah.
So, I think, I don't know, man. I'm torn between a few guys right here, and I think there's one in my group that you might pick. So I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to go from the Ohio State University, Ted Ginn Jr. Ted Ginn was a guy who not only was a phenomenal wide receiver, but was a return specialist. They could use him at receiver, at defensive. They put him all over the field, not to the extent that a Travis Hunter or a Deion Sanders were, but he's a guy that if they needed him, they'd put him out there. So from Ohio State, Ted Ginn Jr., who went on and had some success before having some injuries in the NFL.
All right, pick number 3. This is one that
No response on my Ted Ginn pick. You didn't like that one?
Again, I'm a youngin'.
Ted Ginn, man, that wasn't that long ago.
No, that's a great pick. These are so hard because now it's literally like picking straws. Like I'm sitting here going back and forth on which one I want to take, but I think I'm gonna do it. And he a lot of people know him for his NFL career, but at Marshall he was an absolute dog.
Stealing him off my list.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Randy Moss.
Yeah, Randy Moss started off as a Florida State Seminole, and so just to get this 100% correct, committed, went to Notre Dame, had some issues, went to Florida State, was kicked off the team at Florida State, wound up back home in the state of West Virginia at Marshall, and was absolutely unstoppable. They would just say, hey, Randy, run far and we'll throw the ball to you, and they'd throw it up and he'd go get it.
He scored in every game.
Yeah, he was insane at Marshall.
Yeah.
Now, again, you look at competition level, obviously Marshall's schedule, not a 90s Florida schedule.
Right.
Or a Florida State schedule. But, he's still, either way, he solidified it with what he went on and did in the NFL. So he definitely a great pick. Really impressed with that pick, Jacob.
Thanks, man.
'Cause you're talking about, oh, well, I'm a young one.
Well, I mean, we all know her. And, just with Randy Moss, again, that's one of those guys that, as a guy who likes to go back and look at history, I went back and watched some of his highlights at Marshall, and again,
he's a freak.
He was. I mean, you just see guys like that on the field compared to everybody else. There's a reason he tried to go to Notre Dame, and there's a reason he tried to go to Florida State.
Yeah, so up to this point, my two receivers are Tim Brown and Ted Ginn Jr. Tim Brown from Notre Dame, Ted Ginn Jr. from Ohio State. So as I continue to look at this, I'm thinking, I've got to get an SEC guy. And there's two guys that I'm really torn between. And the one that I think I'm actually going to go with from SEC country is Percy Harvin.
Dadgummit, that was my fourth pick.
So Percy Harvin and his career at the University of Florida with quarterback Tim Tebow, you want to talk about a duo there. Percy Harvin, very much like Randy Moss. Tebow would say, hey, just run and I'll throw it up. You go get it. Very talented and had some success in the NFL to wrap up his career as well. So I felt like, and this is a funny story, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I had a friend who, still a friend, huge Florida Gator fan, and he knew that a girl had dated Percy Harvin. So you know what he did? He slid in her DMs and took her out on a date. So that's a funny story there. Just because he's such a big Florida fan, he wanted to talk to her about Percy Harvin. So she got a free meal out of it and figured out this guy only cares about Florida football.
I don't know that there's a player that made me cuss in my head more than Percy Harvin did at his time.
He was a monster.
The stuff that he did, and as a Georgia fan, you had to nod your head. He was just a dude. I can't even explain it. I didn't want to pick him, but with him being on the board there, it was hard for me not to want to.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my fourth pick.
And that's why the fact that he was still sitting there with my third pick, I've got some guys on this list that I'm going to be disappointed I wasn't able to pick him, but he was just that good. In my opinion, top 10 receiver of all time.
All right. And so I think since I'm having to shift a little bit, I'm gonna go to a guy again, another rival of my team, another outstanding NFL career, but I'm gonna go with Calvin Johnson. I'm gonna take Calvin again.
Georgia Tech guy.
Yeah, one of those players.
He had a lot of success in a triple option offense.
I wonder what his career looks like if he's somewhere else besides in that triple option.
If he's playing for Mike Leach at Texas Tech, what's his career look like?
I know. And you got to think they didn't when they threw the ball, they threw it up to him and basically said, "Hey, we need you to go get this." And he did. Some of his career stats: 2,927 yards, 28 touchdowns. He was best wide receiver in 2006 and holds 6 school records. But that's one again that I grew up watching, and I just remember thinking please don't throw it to him, please don't throw it to him. And then if it was anywhere in his vicinity,
did the same thing in the NFL. It didn't matter if he was double covered; they'd throw it up to him.
Yeah, and he would find a way to go get it. So that may be a little bit of my NFL shaded eyes as well. But I will say I had to watch him every year. I had to see him every year, and every year he would find a way to go up and make our DBs look silly.
He's one I didn't even put on my list. Who I would have. I thought you were going to take him much earlier. So I kind of just played to not go with him.
Yeah.
So you got him on a steal because I probably would have used my second pick on him. So is that your fourth right there?
Yeah, that was my number 4.
Okay, so Calvin Johnson. I'm documenting this too. So, I'm going to be able to be a little bit more vocal now with my last pick. I was torn between 3 guys right here, and so I'd entertain Keyshawn Johnson from USC.
Yeah.
who was obviously a great pro career as well, but just a menace for the Trojans. But I'm not picking him because I don't like USC. So it's my team. I get to do what I want. But going up here for my fourth pick, I got a couple Michigan guys sitting on here that I'm torn between. Desmond Howard and Braylon Edwards.
Yep.
Like, I don't know who's better between those two guys. I love Desmond Howard's personality, love him on game day, like likable as a person. So makes me kind of want to pick him there. But, you got Braylon Edwards, who was – you want to talk about a menace, a guy who was uncoverable. You could put two guys on him, and he would make one-handed catches before we had the sticky gloves. Like, he was that kind of a receiver.
Yeah.
He would go up and make the one-handed Odell catches, and it's not something that we're used to seeing when he was doing it. With that, a guy that I got to watch play a lot. There's two guys I got to watch play a lot. So I've kind of got a four-way tie here, and I'm kind of kicking myself not knowing where I'm going to go with it. But another one, I'm naming them all. Peerless Price, Tennessee.
Yeah.
That guy had an awesome touchdown in the national championship game and kind of made that number 37 cool for kids to wear, not a traditional, like, oh, that's the number I want to be. Kids in Tennessee wore number 37 because they love Peerless Price.
Yep.
And then in that same national championship game, there's a guy on the other side, wore number 9, Peter Warwick.
Yeah, Warwick.
Peter Warwick was probably the best receiver that's ever played at Florida State. So between those four guys, I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet on this one and go with Peter Warwick.
Yeah, Peter Warwick was on my list. National champion MVP, 3,517 yards, 32 touchdowns. But again, watching him play, like you said, probably the best Florida State wide receiver they've ever had.
NFL career did not go, he dealt with some stuff, and the transition initially was hard for him, transitioning as a kind of a pro receiver from just being a guy that was kind of they could play backyard football. That's how talented Peter Warwick was.
Yeah.
I mean, he ran clean routes and stuff, but he had a little bit of trouble transitioning and then dealt with some injuries as well. So
you want to know who made my list? That, like, again, it was between Calvin and him, and really, like, I'm happy with all four of mine.
Yeah, same here.
I like all four guys, but Michael Crabtree.
Yeah, from Texas Tech.
Dude, he was, again, one of those guys I just remember watching and being like...
You remember that play against Texas to win the game?
Yes.
Just tight roping the sideline?
He was, again, he just looked like he was a man amongst boys out there. And, to me, the wide receiver position was probably the hardest to do, because then there's recency bias. Like, LSU has had some absolute dogs that, they were just, again, they only had 1 year stints because there were so many guys in front of them. Alabama's the same way. Like, yes, Devontae Smith, I picked him, but, like, he was in a loaded wide receiver room.
Yeah.
So, it just... There's so many good names on this list. I could keep on. We left off Desmond Howard, a Heisman-winning wide receiver.
I know.
There's Jim's definitely got some good ones for the pickings.
When I brought that up, that we went back-to-back Heismans, I was about to pick them.
Yeah.
And then I looked and I was like, wait a minute. Like, how do I not pick Percy Harvin right here? And so my receivers, Tim Brown, Peter Warwick, Ted Ginn Jr., and Percy Harvin. Jacobs receivers, Larry Fitzgerald, Devontae Smith, Randy Moss, and Calvin Johnson. Man, those are two pretty good receiver rooms right there.
Yeah.
Cheat code, if you will. So now a quarterback position. At the quarterback position, all we're going is two quarterbacks.
Okay.
So I believe you started us with the receivers, correct?
Yeah,
so I will kick us off with quarterbacks. And I'm going to just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off for all our listeners and say Peyton Manning with my number one pick.
Okay. That's a great pick. I mean, especially with the wide receiver.
As long as we're not playing Florida, right?
Yeah, and see, that's where I'm going to come in. Go
ahead and take Tebow.
I am there. To me, I can't stand it as a Georgia fan, but there's not a better leader that I think I've ever seen play the game. Like that speech, I can go back and watch it, and it still gives me chills of him going out there and then just walking off.
He's just a good dude, too.
Yeah, I mean, great guy. And
I definitely liked him more as post-Florida career just because I'm not a Florida fan. I don't like Florida.
Yeah.
And he just talk about a good person, though. That's a solid pick, man.
Yeah, I just don't know.
I'm going to take him off my list.
I don't know that it's hard to argue that there's anybody that has been a better leader and a better college football player at the quarterback position than Tim Tebow.
Okay, so you've went with the Heisman Trophy winner, Tim Tebow. And I started off the quarterbacks with Peyton Manning,
the Heisman snub.
Should have won a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah,
should have been a Heisman Trophy winner. I looked at another Florida quarterback by the name of Danny Warfel.
Yep.
And when we're talking college quarterbacks, he's as good as anybody. Again, pro career didn't really turn out like a lot of people anticipated, but Danny Warfel at Florida was elite. I'm not picking him, though. Taking him off my list. We can't pick two Florida quarterbacks. Can't do that for you guys, Gator fans. Just cannot appease you guys today. Joking, but he's one that I was really torn between, but I feel like this next one is extremely easy for me because I think this guy could be labeled the best college quarterback of all time.
Okay.
Michael Vick.
Oh, yeah, that's a great pick.
Yeah, Michael Vick. The dynamic he brought to college football, just not being your prototypical pocket passer, but he could make any throw on the field, and then he could run better than any running back on the field. His career at Virginia Tech, there's not been many match it since.
Yeah, I'm really torn with what to do here, whether I should go with somebody that has incredible swagger, that is a pure passer. Do you have any guesses of who I'm talking about? Since I have the last pick, I can kind of share a little bit more. But recent quarterback.
I'm going to say Baker Mayfield.
He's on my list. He's on my list because he went from walk-on to Heisman winner.
Johnny Manziel?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me.
Joe Burrow is one that I'm considering.
That's a good one.
An incredible passer, has a swagger to his game. But again, I'm having trouble not taking. We talked about this on the way out yesterday. I think Cam Newton's got to be my number 2.
That's a great pick, and I think with the ability to run the football from the quarterback position, we both got that covered between Michael Vick and Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, I think people get lost in like all of the off the field stuff he had and the transfer. Again, it's crazy that Tebow and Newton were on the same team at one point in time. But when Cam Newton ran the football, he was good for 10 yards. Like, he would drag people. He would make a guy subtly miss. He would run through contact.
At Auburn, they used him like a battering ram, too. They let him run people over.
Yes. It was so frustrating. We would get Auburn into a 3rd and 11, and then here comes Cam Newton finding a way to get a fresh set of downs. From a college football standpoint, it's really hard for me not to select him. I feel like I'm going to regret not having like a true passer, though. But I'm going to take him. I'm going to go Cam Newton.
Yeah, so Tebow and Cam Newton, former teammates at the University of Florida. That's pretty neat before we started stealing laptops and all that stuff and having to go to Auburn. But
yeah.
Bringing up some dirty past secrets from Cam Newton. They're not really a secret. But so Peyton Manning, Michael Vick, my 2 quarterbacks. My 3 honorable mentions that I was really torn. Joe Montana from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Obviously, kind of an up and down college career, but his senior year obviously was phenomenal. And then I had Texas's Vince Young on my list.
Same here.
Who's a guy that, just a very, very similar to Cam Newton, the way he played the game.
That 2005 National Championship game is like one of the most stuck in my head images.
It's one of the greatest college football games of all time.
Yeah, it's forever stuck in my head.
And then the last one that I had on my list was Charlie Ward, Florida State Heisman Trophy winning quarterback who went on to play not in the NFL but in the NBA. That's the kind of athlete he was. He went on to a long professional basketball career in the association. So, I don't think we could have made a bad pick with these groups of guys that we were choosing from.
Yeah, for sure. My honorable mentions would have been Joey B, Again, I had Vince Young as well, and then I had Tommy on the list. We talked about him yesterday. I just don't know that his style of play translates to how college football goes today. And then I also had, we talked about it, Baker Mayfield. I just think that's a really neat story.
I think it's funny that neither one of us had Jamarcus Russell. Now, again, terrible as a pro quarterback. Absolutely terrible. But at LSU, Jamarcus Russell was a guy who could throw a football 80 yards sitting on his backside. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's a Raiders burn. I don't know that I would have been able to.
Yeah.
Like, after finding out that have you heard the story about them handing
the tapes?
The tapes, and they had nothing.
Never watched them. He's like, oh, yeah, those were good, man.
Yeah. You just.
Hey, that's good stuff. You got any more of those?
You call it, and I'll run it. I got it. And they literally handed him like a blank tape. Yeah. And it's just unreal.
Yeah. So, anyway, that is day 2 of our all-time college football draft. And we definitely got some good names on that list, and I'm excited to get Jim on the show with us next week to cover this. But, hey, don't forget, we got the Atlanta Braves coming up, cutting into that pregame show. You know why? Because we can. So that's what we're doing today here on The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Shout out to Hardees, Mayfield Ice Cream, and Duracell for sponsoring our show. And what you got for me, Jacob?
No, I was just asking, are we wrapping up?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up right here. So it's almost 6:20 with that. We appreciate you guys listening this week. We'll be back with you next week. Jacob's, listen, you can tell he's learning. He's learning this whole board thing.
On the fly, baby. Learning on the fly. Hey, be back with you next week. Got a lot of good things to cover. Hopefully a lot of these teams keep on continuing on. So Cleveland coming up tonight, correct?
Yeah, hey, PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Jonathan Vegas, 7 under, is your leader right now.
So, hey, excited to get back with you next week. Have Jim's picks. Maybe we'll do a defensive side of the ball, too.
We're doing it.
But, hey, enjoy the show, Andy.
As always, you've been listening to The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Have a great weekend, everybody.
It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Don Ledford Chevrolet Buick GMC, located on North Lee Highway in Cleveland. Or visit donledford.com for details. Don Ledford, where we say yes. It's on-time traffic with Commander Chuck.
Good afternoon.